The grave robber. We've been talking about this. We've been looking at some miracles that Jesus performed in the book of John. It's been very exciting. Right now, I just want to kind of go over briefly some of the things that we've touched on in the last few weeks. But, you know, we know that there's many false ideas out there about Jesus, who he was, what he was about, what he came here to do. And one of those false ideas is that Jesus is a good teacher. People just believe like he was a good teacher when he was here on earth, that he was even a good role model. And just one thing that I want to say to that is that's a very uneducated, don't get offended right now, not very intelligent way to think about Jesus. And let me tell you why. That's not because I'm a believer today. That's not because I'm a believer. But if we're going to say that Jesus was a role model, but that he wasn't God, that's kind of the false idea there. That he was a great role model, a good teacher, but he wasn't God. If we're going to say that, then he is really no role model at all. Because there's been people, millions through history, that have died for him, that have sacrificed their lives, that have been persecuted for him, that have just poured out their life for him, all for a person who just lied to us. That doesn't make him a role model, not somebody that I want to follow and not somebody I would want my kids to follow. That makes him an unforgivable liar. And so he wouldn't be a good role model. He wouldn't be fit for us to walk towards his teaching. And so the conclusion that I come up with is there's only two things. Either Jesus is who he said he was. He's divine. He's God. He died on a cross for our sins that we could be in a relationship with him and be reunited, and it's awesome. Or he was just an unforgivable liar. That kind of debunks that for me anyhow. Another idea out there is that God is just somebody that he kind of just wants to, be our king, like kiss my ring and just do as I want, go forth and do as I want. And there's a lot of things that God does demand things of us. He asks things out of us. Yes, that's very true. But he gives us our own mind to think if we choose to follow that or not. He's not just this angry guy up on a hill with a little spyglass trying to, burn ants as they disobey or kind of go in a different direction. He loves us. He wants relationship with us. The miracles that he performed were for us. They were to help us point towards him and see him for who he was. And then there's another thought out there, and there's many of these. I'm only throwing a few. But there's this idea that miracles are a thing of the past. Like some of us believe that there was miracles that happened as Jesus was walking on the earth, talking with people on the earth. But that was just kind of something he did then for his purpose. And miracles don't happen now. And see, that's what's so amazing about this series, because it's showing us that when we miss the miraculous in Jesus' life, then we miss the miracles that he wants to do in our life. If you miss the miraculous that Jesus did in his life, and you just put it off to the side like it's not there or it doesn't matter, then you miss the miracle he wants to perform in your life. And that's really what this series is showing us, is that miracles aren't a thing of the past. There's something that God desires to do right now, today, in your heart. And that is just an exciting news to me. I hope it is for you this morning too. I just want to say I'm glad that you're here. I know that we can say that over and over again. And some of you came out to see some friends today, and that's great. But we just pray at Engage that you felt welcome. We pray that as you walk through the door, we all have messy lives. We all have things that are happening. But we just want you to know that this is a place where you can come and you can belong. You can just be here. You can connect with us. We have, grow groups and coffee on Sunday mornings and people to talk to, and a pretty good service. We're trying to get better and better at that as we're mobile here and just trying to learn that. But this is a place where you can come and be comfortable. You don't have to cut your hair. You don't have to change your clothes. You don't have to be a certain way. Jesus loves you right where you're at, and so we do too. We always say we're all messy here. We just all are messy. So come and join the messiness. All right. I'm glad you're here this morning. Ask yourself a question. And this is kind of one of those obvious ones, I get that. But have you ever been in a circumstance or a situation where you were looking at how to get out of it or how to fix the problem, and it just seemed impossible? We all just came together on common mind with that, because I think we've all been there, minus maybe the newborns in life here, okay? If we've been around for any period of time, we've come across a circumstance where it just feels impossible. When we're looking at it, it just doesn't seem to be like an end game. Maybe it's something that you had a dream of, maybe starting a business or going in a direction with your career, and there's just not enough money to make the move or enough money to get it going or whatever. It just seems impossible, right? Maybe it's that you just don't have enough time. The time just seems impossible. That you're trying to maybe build relationships, even make it to church maybe, but that time thing just seems impossible. Maybe it's that there's just not enough people. I know that here at Engage, like a lot of times we talk about like needing people to help out. And sometimes it feels like there's just not enough people because there's just a lot of ministry that we want to do in this city, And sometimes that can feel impossible. My point is we've all been here, right? Some of us just feel like the impossible is that we don't have enough training or not the right education. And so it feels impossible because we feel older now and maybe like that ship has sailed. And then some of us, maybe we're just in a spot where we just don't feel like we're enough. We just don't feel like there's any aspect of our life. We feel ashamed and weak and maybe that we're just, kind of living in a life of sin, or maybe we're not and we don't even know if we really have a purpose. We just don't feel like we're enough. Today, I want us to see that we're going to look at this and we're going to see that God can do more with the little that we have. God can do more with the little than we have than any of us could ever imagine. And it's just exciting to see this where we pick up in John 6, 1 through 13. I'm going to read the whole passage here, so this will be fun. This is John, again, 6, 1 through 13. Sometime after this, Jesus crossed to the far shore of the Sea of Galilee, that is the Sea of Tiberias, and a great crowd of people followed him because they saw the signs he had performed by healing the sick. The signs, the miracles. That's another word that the Bible uses for miracles. Then Jesus went up on a mountainside and sat down with his disciples. His disciples are just the closest people around him. They're usually the 12, the 12 guys that hung out with him. That's Jesus' disciples. The Jewish Passover festival was near. When Jesus looked up and saw the great crowd coming towards him, he said to Philip, one of his disciples, "Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" Isn't that cool? Nobody came to Jesus and said, "We're hungry." He's just like, hey, people got to eat, People got to eat. Where are we going to get this from? He asked this only to test him, for he already had in mind what he was going to do. Philip answered him, "It would take more than a half a year's wages to buy enough bread for each one to have a bite." Another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. "Here's a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish, but how far will they go among so many?" Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." There was plenty of grass in that place. I like to kind of think of Woodstock. I don't know why my mind goes here, but it's just like this farmer's field and like just all these people show up. I don't know if it was kind of that kind of party. I'm not thinking so, but it's where my mind goes. Sorry, tangent. Have all the people sit down. There was plenty of grass in that place. I really just lost everybody right there. And they sat down. About 5,000 men were there. Jesus then took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed it to those who were seated as much as they wanted. As much as they wanted. He did the same with the fish. When they all had enough to eat, he said to his disciples, "Gather the pieces that were left over. Let nothing be wasted." So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with the pieces of the 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten. Wow, that is an incredible, incredible miracle. Incredible miracle. Let's look at a couple parts of that here today. Philip answered, in verse 7, it says, Philip answered, "It would take more than a half a year's wages to buy enough bread for each one to have a bite." So as Philip, there was a problem that arose. And, people, they have 5,000 people. People are hungry. And let's just be honest, do you really want to upset 5,000 people with hungry bellies? I mean, me and my wife are some of the most angry people when we're hungry. I'm just going to be honest. I love Jesus. I love people. But if I'm hungry, I'm not always like the nicest guy. I get irritated because I need that, calories or something, I guess. But here they are. He sees this problem and he says, man, there's 5,000 people out there. Now Jesus is talking about how can we feed them. The nearest town was like 9 or 10 miles away, which is a long way when you're traveling by foot. They didn't have little cars to jump into, things like that. And so as they're there, Philip's looking through the lens of his past experience what kind of makes sense to him in this situation. And he's not really looking through the lens of that Jesus was. He's not really looking through the lens of trusting Jesus. He was a follower of Jesus. He saw many miraculous signs, but when it came to this particular one, he's kind of thinking, how do I fix it? How do I go about this? And the only thing that he could come up is that he started to kind of assess how much money this was going to cost. How much was this going to cost to feed all these people? And the reality was, we don't have enough, and we don't have a store close enough to do what we want to do here. So he's looking through that lens. Jesus wanted to teach him. What Jesus was trying to show him here is that finances, the financials of those resources were not the most important things here. The most important thing here was the trust that you put in Jesus, that Philip put in Jesus. Do you trust me or not? Are you looking at the bank account that we really don't have a whole lot of? Or are you fixing your eyes on me? Are you going to try to fix this your way? Or are you going to submit to me and understand that I love you and I love these people and I want to provide? He was testing him. He was teaching him. Finances are not the most important thing here. That's a great lesson for all of us to take as well. We can limit what God can do in us and through us by assuming what is and isn't possible. See, Philip was a close follower here, like I said just a minute ago. He followed Jesus. He would have seen these miracles like firsthand. He knew Jesus could do what he said he could do. But when he saw this problem, his natural kind of, we'll call it flesh, his natural instinct was just to look at himself and say, how would I fix this? Instead of saying, Jesus, I don't know, how should we go about? Maybe you tell me how we should feed these people. He kind of started to limit what Jesus said. I mean, this is going to take a half a year's wage just to feed these people. And he started to doubt. We all get there at times. This church plant, for example, we call this a church plant. We started a church. In February, it'll be 2 years, so I don't know how long that's been that we've been going. It's been going great. And I don't just say that because of growth or anything like that. It's just been really fun doing it. And those of you that have been a part of it can be storytellers in that because you just know that it is. But this church plant, I was in Bismarck, North Dakota, and there was just one evening, and this has never happened to me before in my life, but I just felt this impression, Duluth, Minnesota. It just wouldn't leave me. It wasn't a voice. It wasn't like a tap on the shoulder. I didn't see an angel, but it was just this impression, like you need to go there. And so finally I just got up and I started to say, okay, what does that mean? This is a city that I never lived in. My wife never lived in. We did drive through it because I'm from the Upper Peninsula, and you have to drive through here to get there from where we lived. But I had never been here. I didn't have any money, and probably nobody that was going to give me any to get this thing going because it takes money to start something, right? I mean, that's where we all get to. We didn't have a building. We didn't have a team. We didn't know anybody here. But then God just lays it on my heart, and there was some moment that I take no credit for, but I decided to say, okay, let's go do this. And what has happened is, a month later, a team starts to form. 2 months later, people start to give money. A year later, we move here. And I have a lunch here at the Clyde Iron Works, and I look over in this spot, and I'm like, hey, we could maybe do something over there. Only to talk to the Clyde, and they say, sure, you can try that there. It's probably iffy if it's going to last or not. What happened through all that, though, is immediately I started to get on Facebook, and that was just kind of what I knew to do. So I wanted to see who might be interested. And do you know that the first 5 or 6, you guys can go check our Facebook page, go back a couple of years, it's there, were people that said, we don't need another church here. Why would you come here? We don't want you. Stay away. And all I did was put a name up there, Engage Church, looking forward to come to the city. So nice welcoming, right? I mean, it's kind of like, whoa, okay. And so there was some things where I'm like, that's when it kind of started to get real. How am I going to do this? And then there were some things where I realized, I can't do it by myself. I don't know anybody there. How am I going to build this team? And all of a sudden, people started coming out of the woodwork from other areas and joining this thing. It's just pretty incredible. So what I'm saying, my point is that Just because you may not see the light at the end of the tunnel, or you may seem like the circumstances on the way that you're thinking about it, it doesn't seem like there's an end in sight, just know that God has a plan. Jesus is with you. He wants you. Focus on him, and he'll bring you to that answer. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be answered in the way that you think, but he will show up. He will show up. The reality of it is when there's something impossible, like a dream or a task that you believe in, that you believe that God wants you to go after, don't let the estimate of what can't be done, like Philip did, keep you from running after it. God can do more with the little you have than you ever imagined. He can do more with the little that you have than you can ever imagine. He wants to be with you. You might say, you know what, Pastor, I can even get there. I can understand that. I can believe that God wants to do more with the little, but you just don't understand. As I've stepped out many, many times in my life, as I've continued to step out, as I've continued to try to keep going, what's been happening is I don't have any support. I don't have anybody that believes in me. And you don't know what that's like, where you're trying to do something and then you get smacked with doubt by somebody else. Maybe it's a close family member, a brother, a sister, a mother, an aunt, an uncle, friends that you've been with. And I say, yeah, I don't always understand that, but I do know this. When God asks something out of you, he's not concerned about how people respond to you. He's given you an opportunity to respond to him in obedience. He's given you an opportunity to pick faith and trust over doubt and fear. That's what he wants to put in front of you. I know it's not easy. I'm not standing up here saying that when we make these decisions in life that it's just easy. But what God is placing in front of you is just like Philip. How are we going to feed all these people? Looks impossible, doesn't it, Philip? What he wanted was faith and trust. And Philip responded with doubt and fear. It's going to take half a year's wages. It's impossible. But God showed up. God showed up. Another of his disciples, this is verse 8, another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. Here's a boy with 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish, but how far will they go among so many? So here Andrew is, and he points at this boy. This boy never gets mentioned in Scripture again. No name, nothing. It was just that little brief thing. But he made the Bible, so he's got to be pretty excited about that. He doesn't get mentioned again. So here's this little boy, and Andrew, you know, he's another one that's been around Jesus. He's seen what Jesus has done. He's totally bought into who Jesus is. But then he looks at somebody that wants to do some work for Jesus, and he's like, I don't see it, Jesus. I mean, here he's got, 5 loaves, 2 fish, but I mean, what can you really do with that? I mean, hey, kid, thanks for showing up, but, whatever. And haven't we all been there? Haven't we all had that dream or something that we just know somewhere inside of us that we were supposed to do? And it seems like the first time that we step out, that we're just hit right away with somebody else that just kind of doubts in us. See, Andrew here, he had all the faith in Jesus, but he just did not believe that what this boy was trying to give would ever be enough. He just doubted him. Had plenty of faith in Jesus, 0 in that boy. Jesus had a different plan. Because Jesus goes on in this story, and this is what's really cool. They kind of, the miracle here is that Jesus fed 5,000 people. But what's very interesting about this is the Bible said 5,000 men. We kind of sell them short when we just think 5,000 because the women and children would have been there too. So nobody really knows, but this is probably closer to more like a 15,000 to 20,000 people. 5 loaves, 2 fish, with doggy bags left over. That's how Jesus works. God can do more with the little you have to offer than you can ever imagine. God can do more with the little you have to offer than you can ever imagine. So when people doubt, when you doubt yourself, then maybe it's time to put your trust in Jesus. Maybe it's time to believe that maybe you can't do it in your strength. Maybe you can't do it in your understanding. Maybe you don't have the right plan, but you surely know who the source is that does. Because God's word tells us that he has a plan for our lives, that he doesn't want to harm us, that it's plans of a good future. And I just wonder right now how many of us are sitting in here and Jesus is just asking the question, how do we feed these people? And our first response is to go how we would do it instead of looking to him and asking him, I don't know, Jesus, how do I do this? How do you step into that promotion? Maybe he's asking you that. I don't know, Jesus, how do I do that? How do I get my finances back on track? Or how do you? Maybe he's asking you that. And you say, I don't know, Jesus, how do I do that? How do you fix the relationships around you? I don't know, Jesus, help me. It's that simple. That's what he was testing Philip in. But right now, we're having a good time talking about Jesus, and we actually have a bride that we kind of need to get down the aisle here. I know that some of you that have never been here, we do things a little different once in a while, and so you guys are going to witness a wedding here today. That's exciting, yes. So we're just going to have the groom and the party kind of come up here and stand. And then we're going to wrap this sermon up here too. That's not the end. Is there a couple ladies that were coming up here too? Oh, there they are. You guys can just kind of fan out here. That'd be great. Oh, sure. Yeah.
That probably will.
Perfect. Yeah.
It is one.
Well, the miracle of this passage, the miracle is really clear as day. Jesus fed 5,000 plus people. But there's a boy in this story, a young boy. And he really doesn't get a whole lot of credit. And you guys can go ahead and be seated, by the way. I'm sorry. He really doesn't get a whole lot of credit. He's not even really talked about after this moment that he's mentioned. But all of us who have kids or around kids or know a kid or have been a kid at one time know that young people, I have great kids. They're all young. They love being around people. They're good in school. They listen for the most part. But when it comes to sharing, almost impossible. Okay, when it comes to sharing, almost impossible. And here this boy freely gave Jesus all he had. 5 loaves and 2 fish. And through that young boy, through his sacrifice, through his willing to give it to Jesus, give it all to Jesus, Jesus did one of the most incredible miracles you will ever read in the gospel, and one of the most incredible miracles that we will ever hear or see in history. Miracles don't have to do with age, gender. They have to do with what you're willing to give Jesus. And so Jake and Heather, as you come here and you decide to join each other in your marriage, one thing that I would love that you guys would understand is, as young as your marriage might be tomorrow and as old as it might be someday, God always wants to do a miracle as long as you're willing to give your marriage to Him fully. And with that said, let's pray. Lord, we just love you here today. Thank you that we can just take a moment as a church and bring a couple together that wants to honor you. I love that we do this kind of stuff. This is what it's about. I've been here for a while with Jake and Heather, and it's been a journey for them. It's not something that's come easy. There's been lots of sacrifice and lots of, up and down and in between. But they're here in front of you today, stepping into this awesome journey that they get to share for the rest of their lives. And they're allowing us to be a part of it. We give you the glory today, Jesus. You always get the glory, but you also give us the opportunity to honor people. And so today, we celebrate with Jake and Heather as they walk into this. Amen. I've done some weddings before, and I know this is your big day, and I'm just like, something's not really feeling right. So I just got to go through like a checklist. So, bride, looking good. The dress is on. Pastor, let's face it, looking good. But something's just uncomfortable here, and I don't know if it's the lighting or the sound. I don't know. Let's try this on for size. It could possibly just be something, I don't know. If you could, maybe if you just want to step up on that. I don't know if it's, there it is. Oh,
all right.
Yeah. So the air is a little bit thinner up here. I just, it's a couple deep breaths, get yourself acclimated. It's going to be okay.
Hey, this is a dangerous height for me. I'd rule the world if I was this tall.
Oh, man. That really just happened, so you can do something to me later. I don't know. Yeah. No, let's give the man some dignity here. That was good though.
Thank you, Pastor John.
Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome. So for this reason, a man leaves his father and mother, and he is joined with his wife, and the two become one. And that's really God's intention for your marriage, is that you guys become one in heart, spirit, mind, that you're working together, not against each other. Communication, we've talked about, is very important. And just having good people around you like are here that you can lean on as that happens. This is what God intends for you. So today, Jake, do you take Heather to be your wife? And do you commit yourself to her to be responsible in the marriage relationship? To give yourself to her in love and work? To invite her fully into your being so that she can know who you are? To cherish her above all others, and to respect her individuality by encouraging her to be herself and grow into all God has intended? If so, say, yes, I do.
It's a no-brainer, Pastor, of course.
Yeah. Okay, I get teary-eyed up at these things. I apologize. And Heather, Do you take Jake to be your husband, and do you commit yourself to him to be responsible in the marriage relationship, to give yourself to him in love and work, to invite him fully into your being so that he can know who you are, to cherish him above all others, and to respect his individuality by encouraging him to be himself and grow into all that God has intended? If so, say I do. The girl part made her laugh.
I do, yes.
Great. Well, these two have prepared some vows for each other, and so I'm going to give them that. We don't have a mic back there really quick, do we? If we don't, I can grab this one. I did not tell them we needed that. I'll grab this, and I'll just kind of hold it. Oops. I'll just go like this. We're good. Okay, I'll just kind of hold this. Go ahead.
You want me to go first?
Yep.
Heather, you and I have shared a special bond since the infancy of our friendship. You've seen value in me through the barriers that I had put up to protect my heart and my pride from further damage. God has saved me from myself with proof of his existence, his love, his forgiveness. He served me grace instead of condemnation, turned my heart and eyes back to him, and he used a girl with beauty unmatched only by the qualities of Christ within her. I broke and gave in to the possibility my life was not a waste and could serve purpose. After 2 short years, we faced trials, joys, many blessings, and a few tears. Now more than ever before, I could see God's plan at work in my life. Our differences from each other, be it experiences, views, or personality traits, complement one another, adding depth, completing each other in a way I never thought was possible. My love, my respect, confidence in you has grown. So in obedience, I ask for your hand in marriage, and these are the vows I give to you for the covenant we are willingly entering with Christ as the foundation to build our life. I, Jacob Allen Lossing, take Heather Ray Green as my wife in marriage. I will lead by turning over my will to Christ's care and control, seeking his plan for us, trusting his ways to complete us as we grow in love and faith. I will support and encourage you in desire and the desires of your heart. Continue to seek God's plan together in active prayer. I love and accept you as you are now, but also love and understand that we will change according to our faith, not time. I will stand with you through disagreements and differences. I will choose love, patience, forgiveness, kindness, and compassion over justice, slander, pride, and anger. I will treat your body as my own and care for my body as yours. I will place your needs above my own. Your needs are now also mine. I will listen objectively and consider your views as my own, and openly share my thoughts and concerns with patience, transparency, and kindness. I will stand with you in prosperity or disaster. I will accept our path as service. I will spend the rest of my life trying to be a man you deserve and being thankful for the blessing God gave me when you entered my life with his endless grace.
All right, now Heather.
I should have asked to go first. I don't know how to follow that. All right. Jake, most of my relationships have been spent with people trying to stop me from being who I am. People tell me that I need to be tougher, harder, less forgiving, less open. And I started to believe that it wouldn't be possible for someone to love me for who I really am. But you have seen me at my most real and honest moments, and you love me anyway. You show me that who God made me to be is not a mistake, and you encourage me to grow in his plan every day. Today, I promise to choose you, to love you every day. When you lose sight of the man that God created you to be, I will be your reminder. When you have victories to celebrate, I will be the first to cheer you on. And as we go through our lives day to day, I will pray that God always protects you and lifts you up. I will not put you before God, but I will walk with you on this journey to become closer to him. And with God, we will go closer to each other in the process. I also vowed to give unconditional love, not only to you, but also to Shyla and Evan. As they are a part of you, they are now a part of me as well. And I will do everything that I can to make sure they are given the best out of life. You are my soulmate, my best friend, and now my husband. I will love you forever.
Here, hold that, please. That comes later. This is not legal yet. Making us look bad up here. Do you have rings?
What? Yeah.
Love it. Okay, just a simple placing of the rings, and Jake, you go first. Just hold out your hand. Yeah, this one, good. Just repeat after me. I love you, Heather,
I love you, Heather.
and I give you this ring as a sign of my love and faithfulness.
I give you this ring as a sign of my love and faithfulness.
Okay, Heather. I love you, Jake. You're supposed to repeat after me, or that's
love you,
really
Jake.
Okay. And I give you this ring as a sign of my love and faithfulness.
And I give you this ring as a sign of my love and faithfulness.
And with that, Jake, you may kiss your bride. Yeah. Beautiful. Now, did you want to say anything, or do you want me to just stay? Okay. So, Heather, they're not doing a reception today, okay? And so it was really important that Heather be able to do her father and daughter dance. And so we're just going to take a minute to end this out and allow them to do that up here. And I just thank you guys for being a part of this. This is kind of crazy to do on a Sunday morning, and we love it. But so we just pray that you guys have a church home, and that you guys would come back and visit. Feel free to stick around, have some coffee, cupcakes, talk with Jake and Heather, talk with any of us. We have kind of a rule here where we take the next 10 minutes after service and meet 3 people we've never met. So this is just a blessing of a day. And then Jake wants to say something.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I know this is not traditional. We didn't make you sit through a 2.5-hour wedding, but we did make you listen to Josh yak for about 45 minutes. So I apologize for that. But on a serious note, thank you guys so much for being a part of this. This is really important for us to share with the people that have loved us over the years and that we love. Guys, thank you for being with me during my down times when things weren't always going so great. And I just thank you all for your love and support. And Heather's family, you're all just so great. Thank you for not stepping on me when I came to the wedding of your cousin. I mean, I was afraid, man. I was like an ant there. But you people are all very nice and awesome. And I just encourage you to stick around, chat with us, get to know us. I'm excited to be part of the family. And people can order lunch.
Okay. And so at this time, yeah. So we're going to have Heather and her dad dance up here, and at the end of that, we are dismissed. So just thank you guys for being a part of it, and we'll see you next Sunday. And if anybody wants to get married, it's a good way to grow a church, so just come talk to me. So we'll just do that. Yes.